As a high-level, lifelong compartmentalizer, I felt that deeply. I don't like to cry in public, so when the lip started going,
the quivering of the lip,
oh my God, no!
I told you yesterday. I told you yesterday, Paul. Said I'm gonna need them tears, though.
Yes.
I need them tears. I gotta get them tears, snot bubbles. I need all that. I gotta get all that. That's gonna tell me
the
ready
lip was
to go.
going, and I feel him because as JJ said, he took the time to sit in that moment, and that's a lot. Everybody, everyone is watching you. You're trying to pay attention to this tribute and relive this really emotional time. Crazy.
Let me see the lip's
not going.
Trying to hold it back, though,
The lip's not going. Maybe not in that clip, but...
You trying to hold it back, man.
It was going, and I feel him. I feel him very much. I do not like crying in front of people, so I understand it. I loved it. Loved every second of it. But, as JJ said, he then had to shelf all that and go play in a basketball game, and he did it in very impressive style. But, Paul, how impressive was Luka's performance?
This was beyond impressive. Look, so I was watching it, right? So I'm looking over there. They're about to introduce. He's looking at the video. And this is what I said yesterday. There's going to be emotions. I'm looking like he's cooked. Like, I'm looking like he's done for the day. LeBron going to have to carry him. He looked like melted ice cream over there. He was just like, I was just like, he got what after the first quarter? He got like 15?
14.
14. I was like, hold on. This is, he really feeling some type of way, man. This is one of the great performances that we're going to talk about for a long, long time. Like a team that just threw you out, threw you in, what we call it, Keith? Threw you out in the water, threw you out in
the baby with the bathwater.
No, threw him back out in the ocean.
Threw him back out in the ocean, right.
But it ain't a he, but don't worry about it. That's something.
Threw him back out in the ocean.
Was I supposed to say that? I don't know. That's not the first one. Sorry, I don't know.
In other words, what Paul is saying,
right.
Disregarded you.
He was no good to them, so you might as well throw him back in the ocean.
They treated him in dramatic fashion.
I mean, they going to be feeling the burn of this for a very, very long time, I promise you. And I mean, we're going to be talking about, like, remember Luka got traded, came back 45. Because we think about all the other games, like myself, when I left, came back, I was nothing. Jimmy Butler, this is nothing. Yep. Clay didn't really he had a solid game, but they didn't win. But this is going to be one of the all-time comeback performances. I don't even know which one is number one. I think he was the third. He was third all-time in points scored, maybe in this type of situation. Because I forget who the first two were, but this is one of the...
Michael came back from when he was with Wizards, came back and beat the Bulls. But the numbers
But he didn't have 45.
No.
I think this was the third most points somebody had.
Michael didn't get kicked out of Chicago.
No.
Right.
Well...
No.
They
that
moved
was like 5 years later.
He was forced into retirement because they took apart the team.
Especially when I saw that lip do like this.
Oh, man. When the lip started
I thought it was over.
When the lip started going, I was
When the lip did like that, I thought he was done.
I can't do it.
So this was a magnificent performance.
No, it was very, very impressive. Shot the ball well, very efficient the first 3 quarters. And then LeBron took over, obviously, in the fourth quarter when he needed to. But you got to think, man, like I said yesterday, that crowd, those shirts, that Fire Nico, all that was coming. And everything, it came. The Fire Nico, the shirts, the whole deal.
Man.
The crowd was behind him. So it wasn't one of those situations like, even though the fans in Miami might have liked Jimmy Butler, but it was a different situation. You know, and so when you look at it, for Luka, all he had to do was gather those thoughts that kept him up all night long, because he probably only had about 3 hours of sleep in a 24-hour period, I'm thinking, because I'm counting the flight, right? You're going to try to sleep on the flight, you're going to get an hour. Then you're going to get a 2-hour in the hotel, toss and turn. You're going to get a 2 hour, you're going to look at your phone, you're talking to people over in Serbia. I mean, you're doing all sorts of stuff. Then to go out there, go to shoot around, sit there, look at the stadium, but you also periffed Nico standing in that damn tunnel, too. You saw it somehow.
Do you think he said something to Nico?
No, he just saw him. No, he smelled
They didn't
him.
speak, huh?
No, why would you? I'm not speaking to you.
They didn't speak.
What am I speak to you for? I was in escrow on a house that was getting ready to close the day you traded me. What the hell I'm speaking to you for?
Damn.
I mean, like, think about that, Rick. Yeah. You just ripped something from my heart. You know? So now I'm going to go out there, I'm going to give y'all 45, because I know every one of you dudes that's out on that court that's covering me, I'm going to give you 45.
Yeah, but that's what made it incredible, because it was, and at first I was thinking JJ oversold it. He might have undersold it, actually, because he was that emotional. And then but it wasn't like I want to go out and the fans were
With me.
embracing him,
Yeah.
right? So it's not like I want to dagger everybody in the building. And yet it was his most efficient shooting game as a Laker.
Yeah.
Both overall and from three-point. He was 7 for 10 from three-point range. 45 points. And he did it not jawing at the referees, not like jawing at anybody after he hit a big shot. Like that's what added to it. Like he didn't insult anybody in the building that was pulling for him like, I'm doing this to you. He did it quietly and still got 45 and still took the game over.
When he had that I think it was 17 in the first quarter? 14 in the
14
in the first. I knew
He had
when he had
31 in the first half.
5 for 9 in the first.
when he had that 14 in the first quarter, I was like, oh yeah, he getting ready to do them in.
Yeah.
I did too.
I didn't think he was gonna get 45 because I just thought he would be probably at 30, and next thing you know, it's 45.
To your point, though, he did, like, he knew those guys. Like, once he got going, every guy he had, he goes, I know exactly where I can get to and what shot I can take.
Right. Yes.
You know, if it's Derek Lively or it's P.J. Washington, whoever it was.
Like, I dare y'all put this dude on me.
I mean, I don't think it's hyperbolic to say it's one of the more unique nights in sports history because we've never really seen a trade like this.
No.
With a player in his prime that is the face of an organization that just came off a finals appearance.
And that didn't want to be traded.
That didn't want to be
that's
traded.
The heart of it.
There was
right?
there was no murmurs of problems or the idea that this could possibly happen. And then on top of that, you go to the Lakers. So it's not like you're going to some random organization that gets no attention.
Man,
To come back and then to have the fans, because fans are, you know, you can't always predict how fans are going to react because they are loyal to the organization most of the time. I mean, players come and go.
I think they were with Jimmy. Like, I think Jimmy got some booze.
Sure, and for the most part,
different,
it was such a different situation. And Jimmy wasn't always ours.
Yep.
Luka was always
Yes.
a Dallas Maverick and grew with them and then just took them to the finals. It's not like they're coming off of a disappointing season. So for the fans to be so openly on the players' side in that building shows you a lot. That is a rare occurrence. It's just such a unique situation.
Because he's like basically, Joy, he's like every fan. He gonna smoke hookah, drink a little liquor, and go drop 30. Drop 30.
Oh, that's every fan.
Well, the fans will do the first two.
I understand that. But the fans put themselves in the shoes of the athletes because they think they can drop 30.
Yeah.
You're right. I mean,
Smoking hookah, drinking liquor, and dropping not one bucket, let alone 30. But yeah, it was so impressive. The emotions of the night and the uniqueness of having all of the fans, not just like a welcome back throughout the entirety of the
They
game.
was screaming fire the general manager, though.
Not just that, they're rooting for him. He
No,
plays for
I
the
understand
other
that,
team.
when they're screaming fire the general manager, fire Nico, that's embracing Luka.
Yes.
That's because of Luka. You know, you don't normally see that unless the team is really bad. You hear some people say, sell the team, get rid of it. But not when the team is okay and you just moved on from your star player that you can still have in your fold for the next 10 plus years.
That's got to be complicated emotions. Because when you can't tap into hostility, it makes it almost harder to move on because you don't have any. You have someone or maybe the front office or the ownership to have hostility towards. But when you can't do what, to your point, when Luka can't be in his normal energy, when he's barking and he's yelling at the refs and he's in his
all of that.
His aura because everyone is pouring love into you. For him to tap into that and have 45 is
that
really
was
great.
pretty much like a home game. You know, pretty much.
It's just very bizarre.
But he had to do it out of character.
Yeah.
Like if he's on one, he's letting everybody know.
But look, though, Rick, is that really out of character, or is that just something we've never seen from him, that his energy and his focus was so laser focused that he was able to do that? Now, imagine moving forward if he decides that I don't need to.
Oh, yeah.
That I don't need to act the way I've acted over the last 6 years or so. This could be a different Luka.
It's like a healing moment for him.
Yeah, it could be very scary for a lot of teams in the NBA, you know? Very scary.
I thought about that when they made the trade. That, like, he may now evolve and be a different guy in LA that maybe he never would have been in Dallas, but that because this hurt him so deeply, he's like, okay, I'm going to do things a different way.
Right. Right. Ooh, I was emotional, too. Just watching it.
How should he feel after last night?
Well, I think he should feel like, all right, I finally got the weight off my back. This is the anticipation of finally. This is what happens when you come back. Like when I came back from Boston when I was in Brooklyn, so it was just like, oh man, it's just like a weight. You just want to get it over with. You know, the love. My situation similar to Luka, just the standing ovations, the everything. But I didn't get traded, but it was just the feeling of it was just. I know how he felt. I wanted to cry. I didn't cry. I wanted to, but it was just like that. So emotional. I couldn't even play that game. So this is the first time me back in the building, walking into this locker room where I'm not making a right this time. I'm making a left. That's different. Now I'm catching a bus to this arena. I'm not driving. That's different. So I understood all of that he was going through. Now it's just, so then after the game, I'm like, you know, he's saying hi to the security, the parking attendants, all the assistant coaches, the teammates. It was just like a huge weight. Like I got that out the way because I know I'm going to be back here many more times. But that first time you come back, so many emotions you can't control because you know you was drafted here, you grew here, you built so many relationships, you went to an NBA Finals, and then it's like you built something up so much like a relationship, and it just kind of went crumbling down, and you get emotional over that. And so now you can put it behind you and move forward with your new. And see how it goes.
I was about to say, you know,
he had to get
He
had to get there.
And now you can move forward.
How should he feel after last night?
He should feel great. I mean, he really should just embrace this opportunity in the moment that he had last night and basically close the door on it now. All the weight of being traded should be off of his shoulders now. It's over with now. You done popped him. You done did your job. Now go win a championship and rub that in their face later on in the ticker tape parade. That's how you move on from that, rather than just keep on thinking about it. It's over with now. You're living in LA. It's 80 degrees outside. You go walk on the beach and have some fun. Woo. You know, that's how he should be honestly thinking about everything moving forward.
Yeah, I don't know that he is, though. I think he's relieved, right? He's gotten past this, but he's even talking about it after the game, and you can tell he's still emotional.
Yeah, it's draining.
About all of it, right?
It's draining.
Yeah, but it's also still a part of it.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's going to take him some time. I know as much as you think that L.A. is the, panacea for everybody.
It is. That's why everybody moves here.
Not everybody moves here. Some people leave, and some people just visit. But there's a part of him that's, still mourning the fact that he's not a Dallas Maverick, and I think it's going to take him some time because I think he's a Laker now. I don't think he's embraced being a Laker. I don't think he's found his.
Last night,
I don't think he's found his new boo.
No,
right?
But in all honesty,
he's dating right now, but he hasn't committed.
I think in all honesty,
he committed now.
I was going to say, Paul. In all honesty, last night he got on his knees and handed the ring.
No, I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
I'm telling you because everybody in Laker land has taken him to another level based on last night. You got to think about the game. We needed the game to stay right there in third position. Now we can toy with Houston, Portland, depending on how that works. We just need one of them to be in 3. And he delivered at a moment when we all was sitting there waiting for this moment to be.
I'm not going to future trip. I'm not going to future trip that much. Here's the question I have. If he cared so much about being a Dallas Maverick and he lost in the finals because he couldn't defend, wasn't in great condition, he was killing the referees, why didn't he come back different? Because he was collecting T's at a faster rate when he came back than he was last season when he had 15 or 16.
Well, I mean, there's no precedent really for this type of trade. So I agree, if you are an all-time great, and this has been a criticism of Luka throughout his career, that he needs to get better as a defender, that he needs to be in better shape and all those things, and he needs to, control his emotions on the court. So I hear you, but I can't imagine that there was any space in his brain that he thought that he would get traded to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis, because certainly none of us thought that this was on the board. I think it's actually cool that he's not bitter. Because based off of the energy that he usually projects and the attitude that he usually brings to the court and just to basketball in general, wow, he's a fun guy off the court.
Right.
When he's there and he's playing, he has an edge to him. So I think it's cool that he showed up not bitter, because he very well could, even with the fans, because that's a normal human emotion to internalize this hurt and project it onto everyone else, even if they are saying that they miss you or whatever. Like, he could have snapped out of that emotional moment and been his normal self. So I think it's cool that he's not bitter. It shows how much he respects the city and the fans and his time there so much. And they, did have a success there. They went to the finals, obviously didn't get a ring, but as close as he could get them there. And you can internalize that in a lot of different ways. It's a really unique situation. I think it was a lot of closure for him. I'm with Key. I think he needed that night last night. He obviously wasn't sleeping. He said he was tired. He's relieved to get this out of the way. You're thinking out of it. You see it on the schedule.
Yeah.
You know that there's going to be some kind of a reaction when you come back there. You know you're going to be emotional. You know you're going to get the video, and probably prepared for some kind of at least a general warm welcome. You're in the building for the first time. You're back in the city that you love. You're back around the fans, seeing the season ticket holders. There's a lot of emotions going on. It would be very easy for him to make that negative, and he didn't. And I think now that it's over, you can kind of accept my new reality of, I am a Los Angeles Laker. I am playing with LeBron. We are third in the West. We have a real opportunity to go and win a championship here, not just to prove Dallas wrong, but because this is the new chapter of my life. And I think he needed that. And the way that it went,
couldn't
I think it opens the door for him to have another relationship. I don't think that relationship by any means has been formed yet. I don't think let's put it this way. I don't think he feels about the Los Angeles Lakers right now than the way he felt about being a Dallas Maverick.
no, he couldn't.
He couldn't. He's been there for like 8 years or whatever it's been to 2 months.
Well, that's my point.
Yeah, but he has moved on, though.
I think that last night clearly gave him the space to begin accepting this new role and this new path.
Does he get his jersey retired in Dallas one day?
Ooh, that's a good question.
He was certainly going to have a statue if he would have stayed there.
But I'm saying, does he
career.
still get his jersey retired there? I wonder. That's a good question.
That is a good question.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's borderline, though.
What is it?
It's not
six
foregone.
all NBAs or five or six all NBAs for him when he multiple All-Star games.
But if you compare
But let me
it,
tell you about
like
this
Dirk.
situation. So right now, the situation. So look, Kevin Garnett never, he didn't want to get his jersey retired because of Glenn Taylor. They didn't have a good relationship.
Yeah.
So now it's new ownership. So Kevin's jersey's not retired in Minnesota, which it should be.
Yeah,
Well,
100%.
But now there's new ownership. You think Luka would feel like, no, I don't want my jersey retired under this ownership? And as long as he's there, no.
Probably.
That would be like, that's, I wonder if that would be the case. Like, I'm not going back because of them. Because that's who did this.
I mean, there's going to be some time that will pass before he has to really consider this. But
Can you imagine? I'm with you. I can't see it. Because you got to imagine that I'm going to be on the court
next to
the person who traded me. Nah.
And they get to have that moment.
If Nico's still there, jersey ain't
I'm
getting
not worried about
retired next
Nico.
year.
I'm talking about ownership.
The owner can always
The
pass
owner's-
the buck, though.
No,
The owner can pass the buck and say, well,
I don't know when the tell-all comes out if that's going to be what the story is.
No, but the owner will pass the buck to the person that they got rid of.
Yeah. Well, the Mavs fans clearly embraced Luka last night. They cheered him on like he was still on their team, and they also had the Luka chant going during the break that was being led by Lakers players. So we heard the Fire Nico chants. We just talked about the ownership and the trade, but how bad of a look was this last night for the Mavs, Bob?
This was so embarrassing. This was the most embarrassing situation you could have. Like, the Mav fans showed you how they felt the entire night. They showed you how we felt about the player we traded, and they showed you how we felt about ownership, management, and most important, Nico Harris. That was a complete embarrassment. And they're going to be kicking themselves for a very, very long time because you traded away a player who is 26?
26 years old.
26 years old. He's been in the MVP conversations every year. And he comes back and drops 45 in the midst of his prime. He just brought you to a championship. Like, it can't get any worse than it. It's just equivalent to like me breaking up my girl and she come back to the club with Elon Musk or something. I'm like, damn, what? Like, that was an upgrade. That was an upgrade. Joy. Like, you know, with the richest man on earth. Now, you know, like, man, you coming back, man? Come on.
Yeah, there's so many ways you could go with that.
Keyshawn can
come on, man.
tee up the neck. Go ahead.
You said what? All right, look.
They didn't like that one. No, they didn't like that one.
No, we didn't like that one. We didn't like that one.
I'm not even going to give you another comp.
Yeah.
I understand where you're going, Paul.
It's a bad look.
Yeah.
I mean, you just got to look at it like you said before, there's never been a trade for a player in the prime of his career as a franchise cornerstone piece, face of an organization, you know, face of one of the faces of the NBA, face of European basketball, all of those things to be dealt in the middle of the night when he was sleeping in his bed, and all of a sudden he gets a phone call, you got traded.
A bed in escrow.
No, the bed, it was in escrow, but he hadn't gotten there yet. It's never been done. So when I look back at just history of professional sports and organizations, I go all the way back into baseball, just from the history of baseball. Because obviously, clearly, I wasn't around. Rick was around when Babe Ruth got moved from the Red Sox to the Yankees. And that thing got kind of, you know, switched, where the Yankees all of a sudden got the prime player, and the Red Sox were still trying to figure out what the hell did we just do in the middle of the night. And this is kind of that, although his career is we know the end of Babe Ruth's career and what he did in history of baseball, and Luka has more years left, but on the surface, it's kind of the same thing to me. But he should be happy, man. I'm in L.A. now. I'm chilling. He should be extremely happy.
You know, it's a big world out there.
It is.
It's a big world out there, Key.
No, it is.
How bad of a look was it for the Mavs?
The scene of him crying on the bench with the lip quiver and all. Bill,
The lip quiver was funny.
give us that.
It's not funny, Paul. It's so insensitive.
I mean, the lip quiver is the peak of trying not
to cry.
to let it all
You try to
go.
hold it in.
And you can't.
I felt that
It's
deeply.
involuntary.
Yeah, exactly.
It's coming out. And that will be an indelible image in Dallas Mavericks history. I was saying, you know, when it first happened and early on, it's like, you know what, we can't judge this now. It's what happens over the next 5 years. If Luka doesn't re-sign with the Lakers, or if he gets injured and he never gets back to the finals, like all that, we might look at this differently. But last night left a mark that will never be erased, because it was, you had a superstar player who loved being part of your franchise, and you sent him away, and now you get to see how invested he was emotionally in your team. I just don't know how you ever get around that.
And the crazy thing, when you think about the exchange, what the Lakers sent them, you know what I'm saying? It was like, do me a favor. Won't you take this off my hands and give me Luka? Because he didn't get a haul for this particular player. Like, you're supposed to get every first-round pick you can, every top player.
It personal.
Yeah, it might have been personal.
Well, I mean, certainly sounded like it was personal. I don't think it was a bad look, you know, for the. It's such a weird situation, because something you just mentioned that is another layer that makes it unique. He really showed how much he wanted to be there. In an era of basketball where superstars are asking to be traded, not even superstars, just players are asking to be traded left and right, and saying, not only do I want to be traded, I want to go to this particular team, and teams are making that happen. To have a player in his prime want to be, like, clearly loves being a part of the organization that much, that we're being that emotional and showing that kind of vulnerability, kind of adds to how bad it is, because this is the era that we're in, where players are not even wanting to stay with organizations. There's so much movement. There's not really a lot of loyalty, and he clearly wanted to be there. Now, I think as time goes on and, you know, we get the behind-the-scenes documentary about how all this went down, time may tell a different story about who's actually responsible for all of this. Like right now, it's very easy to point to one particular space, but you know,
to hang it on Nico.
Yes, I think there might have been some other things at work here.
There's no question
in how this all went down, and I think we'll find out many years from now. So I have some suspicions that we might not reflect entirely on this in the way that we do now, but definitely him showing how much he cared about wanting to be a part of this organization in a time where player movement is constant adds to how bad of a look it was for the Mavs. But not for the players, which is kind of a different layer as well. Because sometimes when things go badly, you have issues with other teammates, and there's like constant conversations about guys not getting along. So it really is very specific, and I think that's why the fans were so receptive.
Can I get that lip, Paul?
Leave my dog alone. Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.